The power of community, igniting a revolution of compassion. Welcome everyone to this special episode of the BlackCEO Podcast. Today we're diving deep into a topic that has the power to transform not just individual lives, but entire communities. We're going to explore the revolutionary concept of collective responsibility and how it can reshape our world. Before we begin, I want to introduce you to an extraordinary individual who has been the catalyst for this conversation. Amenna Scott, the visionary behind the Jesus Works Housing Voucher program, is not just a community leader. She's a beacon of hope in a world that often feels shrouded in darkness. Amenna's work isn't just changing lives, it's redefining what it means to be a community. Her unwavering commitment to lifting others up is nothing short of inspirational, and I'm thrilled to share the insights I've gained from our conversation with all of you. Now, let's dive in. Imagine for a moment a world where no one has to choose between keeping their lights on and putting food on the table. A world where the specter of homelessness doesn't loom over families like a dark cloud. Sounds like a utopian dream, doesn't it? But what if I told you that this world is within our reach? That we have the power to create it right here, right now. This isn't just wishful thinking. It's the bold vision that Amenna Scott is turning into reality through her Jesus Works Housing Voucher program. And let me tell you, folks, it's a vision that's as audacious as it is necessary. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Another talk about helping the less fortunate? Haven't we heard this all before? Well, buckle up, because what I'm about to share with you isn't your run-of-the-mill charity pitch. This is about something far more profound, far more revolutionary. This is about awakening to our shared responsibility and the incredible power that awakening holds. Let's start with a hard truth. Our society is fractured. We've become so focused on our individual pursuits that we've lost sight of the bigger picture. We walk past homeless people on the street, averting our eyes. We hear about families struggling to keep their lights on and think, that's terrible, but what can I do? We become experts at compartmentalizing, at distancing ourselves from the suffering around us. But here's the kicker. That distance is an illusion. The truth is, we're all connected. The struggles of our neighbors are our struggles. The pain in our communities is our pain. And until we recognize that, until we embrace our shared responsibility, we'll never achieve the kind of society we all dream of. This is where Amenna's work comes in. The Jesus Works Housing Voucher program isn't just about providing financial assistance to those in need. It's about challenging the very way we think about community. It's about creating a culture of giving where supporting our neighbors becomes as natural as supporting our own families. Now, I can almost hear the skeptics among you. That sounds nice in theory, you might be thinking, but how does it work in practice? And well, let me share a story that might change your perspective. Meet Sarah. Sarah was a single mother of two, working two jobs just to keep a roof over her family's head. Despite her best efforts, she found herself falling behind on her utility bills. The threat of having her electricity cut off loomed large, and with it, the fear of losing her children to social services. This is where the Jesus Works Housing Voucher program stepped in. Through their intervention, Sarah received the financial assistance she needed to keep her lights on. But that's not where the story ends. The program also connected Sarah with financial literacy classes and job training opportunities. Today, Sarah not only has a stable home for her children, but she's also on a path to long-term financial security. Now, you might be thinking, that's great for Sarah, but it's just one person. And you'd be right, if that were the end of the story. But here's where it gets interesting. Sarah, inspired by the help she received, has become a volunteer with the program. She's now helping other families navigate the same challenges she once faced. One act of kindness has created a ripple effect, touching countless lives. This, my friends, is the power of community in action. It's not just about providing a handout, it's about creating a system of support that empowers individuals and strengthens the fabric of our society. But Amenna's vision goes even further. She challenges us to see that by helping others, we're not just being kind or generous, we're investing in the health and stability of our entire community. It's a perspective that shifts the narrative from us versus them to simply us. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. That's all well and good, but I'm just one person. What difference can I really make? Well, let me tell you about John. John was a successful businessman who had always considered himself generous. He donated to charities, volunteered at the local soup kitchen during holidays. But when he heard about the Jesus Works Housing Voucher program, something clicked. He realized that his occasional acts of charity, while well-intentioned, weren't addressing the root causes of poverty and homelessness in his community. Inspired by Amenna's message, John decided to get more involved. He not only made a significant donation to the program, but also used his business connections to create job opportunities for program participants. The result, a dramatic decrease in homelessness in his community and a noticeable improvement in the local economy. John's story illustrates a crucial point. When we awaken to our shared responsibility, we unlock potential we never knew we had. We start to see opportunities to make a difference everywhere we look. But here's the thing. Amenna's vision can't be realized through the efforts of one person or one organization alone. It requires a collective awakening, a shared commitment to looking out for one another. And that's where each of us comes in. Now, I can almost hear some of you shifting uncomfortably in your seats. This all sounds great, you might be thinking, but I barely have enough time to take care of my own responsibilities. How am I supposed to take on the problems of my entire community? I get it. We're all busy. We're all struggling with our own challenges. But what if I told you that embracing this shared responsibility doesn't have to mean sacrificing your own well-being? In fact, it can enhance it. Studies have shown that acts of kindness and community involvement can significantly boost our mental health and overall life satisfaction. When we connect with others and contribute to something larger than ourselves, we tap into a wellspring of purpose and fulfillment that no amount of individual success can match. But don't just take my word for it. Let me share another story that illustrates this point beautifully. Meet Maria. Maria was a high-powered executive who seemed to have it all: a six-figure salary, a beautiful home, designer clothes. But despite her outward success, Maria felt empty inside. She was stressed, lonely, and questioning the meaning of her life. One day, Maria stumbled upon a flyer for the Jesus Works Housing Voucher program. On a whim, she decided to volunteer. At first, it was just a way to fill her weekends. But as she began to interact with the families the program helped, something changed in Maria. She found herself looking forward to her volunteer shifts. She felt a sense of purpose she'd never experienced in her corporate job. The gratitude in the eyes of the people she helped filled a void she didn't even know she had. Inspired by her experiences, Maria started to reevaluate her life. She didn't quit her job or give away all her possessions, but she did start allocating more of her time and resources to community involvement. She became an advocate for the program in her corporate circles, leveraging her connections to secure more funding and support. The result? Not only did Maria's efforts significantly expand the reach of the Jesus Works Housing Voucher program, but she also found a newfound sense of fulfillment and joy in her own life. Her stress levels decreased, her relationships improved, and she rediscovered a zest for life she thought she lost. Maria's story is a powerful reminder that when we invest in our communities, we're also investing in ourselves. It's not a zero-sum game. By lifting others up, we all rise together. Now, I know what some of you skeptics out there might be thinking. These stories sound too good to be true. Surely it can't be that simple. And you're right, it's not simple. Creating real, lasting change in our communities is hard work. It requires dedication, perseverance, and a willingness to step outside our comfort zones. But here's the thing, it's work worth doing, because the alternative, continuing down the path of individualism and disconnection, is leading us towards a future none of us want to see. Just look at the statistics. Homelessness is on the rise in many parts of the country. More and more families are struggling to keep up with basic expenses like rent and utilities. The gap between the haves and have-nots is widening by the day. These aren't just numbers on a page. They represent real people, our neighbors, our co-workers, maybe even our friends or family members. And if we don't take action, if we don't awaken to our shared responsibility, these problems will only get worse. But it doesn't have to be this way. We have the power to change the narrative. We have the power to create a different future. And it starts with each one of us making a conscious decision to get involved. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, but I don't have the resources of a successful businessman like John or the time of an executive like Maria. What can I possibly do? And that's where the beauty of Amenna's approach comes in. She recognizes that not everyone can make large financial contributions or dedicate hours every week to volunteering, but everyone can do something. Everyone can play a part in creating a culture of giving and support. Maybe for you is donating $10 a month to the Jesus Works Housing Voucher Program. Maybe it's volunteering for an hour on the weekends. Maybe it's simply being more aware of the needs in your community and finding small ways to help, whether that's buying a meal for a homeless person you pass on the street or checking in on an elderly neighbor. The point is, every act of kindness, no matter how small, has the power to create ripples of change. When we all commit to doing what we can, those ripples can become waves, transforming our communities from the ground up. But here's the crucial part. This isn't just about individual acts of kindness. It's about creating a movement. It's about shifting our collective mindset from one of individualism to one of shared responsibility. Imagine a world where looking out for one another is the norm, not the exception. A world where we see the struggles of our neighbors as our own struggles. A world where we understand that true prosperity isn't measured by individual wealth, but by the health and well-being of the entire community. This is the world Amenna Scott is working to create through the Jesus Works Housing Voucher Program. And it's a world we can all help bring into being. Now, I know some of you might be wondering about the name of the program. Jesus Works, is this some kind of religious thing? And it's a fair question. The name does come from Amenna's personal faith, but make no mistake, this isn't about pushing a religious agenda. It's about tapping into the universal values of compassion, empathy, and service that are at the heart of not just Christianity, but many belief systems around the world. It's about recognizing that regardless of our individual beliefs, we all have a shared responsibility to care for one another. And that's really the heart of what we're talking about today. It's about recognizing our interconnectedness. It's about understanding that when we lift others up, we all rise together. Now, I want to circle back to something I mentioned earlier, the upcoming fundraising event for the Jesus Works Housing Voucher Program. Amenna's goal is to raise $5,000 or more. And while that money is crucial for the program's operations, this event is about so much more than just raising funds. It's an opportunity for the community to come together and demonstrate the power of collective effort. It's a chance for each of us to be part of something bigger than ourselves. It's an invitation to join a movement that believes in the power of community to create real, lasting change. But here's the thing. The success of this event, and indeed the success of this entire movement, doesn't rest on the shoulders of any one person. It depends on all of us. It depends on each of us recognizing our shared responsibility and choosing to act on it. So as we wrap up this talk, I want to leave you with a challenge. I want you to think about how you can apply Amenna's message in your own life. How can you step up to be part of the solution? How can you contribute to building a community where no one has to choose between keeping their lights on and putting food on the table? Maybe it's by donating to the Jesus Works Housing Voucher Program. Maybe it's by volunteering your time to a local charity. Or maybe it's simply by making a conscious effort to be more aware of the needs of those around you and finding small ways to help. Whatever form it takes, I urge you to take action, because the power to create change doesn't just lie with organizations or governments. It lies with each of us in the choices we make every day. Remember, every act of kindness, every gesture of support, no matter how small, has the power to create ripples of change that can transform lives and communities. As Amenna Scott has shown us, when we come together with a shared purpose and a commitment to supporting one another, there's no limit to what we can achieve. So let's take inspiration from Amenna's work. Let's commit to being the change we want to see in our communities. Let's awaken to our shared responsibility and show the world that we are stronger together. Because in the end, it's not about what we can achieve as individuals, but what we can accomplish when we unite as a community. It's about creating a world where compassion isn't just a virtue, but a way of life. A world where we understand that our individual success is inextricably linked to the well-being of those around us. This is more than just a nice idea. It's a call to action. It's a challenge to each of us to step up, to reach out, to make a difference. Because the truth is, We can't afford not to. The cost of inaction in terms of human suffering, social instability, and lost potential is simply too high. So I ask you, how will you answer this call? How will you embrace your shared responsibility? How will you contribute to building a community where everyone has the opportunity to thrive? The choice is yours. But remember, every step you take towards helping others is a step towards creating a better world for all of us. Every act of kindness, every gesture of support is a brick in the foundation of a more compassionate, more equitable society. And here's the beautiful thing. As you embrace this shared responsibility, as you open your heart to the needs of your community, you might just find that you receive far more than you give. You might discover a sense of purpose and fulfillment that no amount of individual success can match. You might find that in reaching out to lift others up, you yourself are elevated. So let's go forth from here with a new perspective. Let's look at our communities not just as places we live, but as extensions of ourselves. Let's see the struggles of our neighbors not as distant problems, but as challenges we all share. And let's commit to doing our part, however small it might seem, to create the kind of world we all want to live in. Because when we awaken to our shared responsibility, when we embrace the power of community, we become capable of extraordinary things. We become agents of change, catalysts for transformation. We become the very best versions of ourselves. So I challenge you. Don't just listen to this talk and nod in agreement. Take action. Reach out. Make a difference. Be the change you want to see in your community. Because together we have the power to create a revolution of compassion. Together we can build a world where no one is left behind. Together we can transform the very fabric of our society. The power is in your hands. The time is now. Let's make it happen. Thank you.